So I already know that when t is 0, right, population is 6.04. So what is that? What does that mean? It means that a of 0 is a0. So 0 times k is 0. E to 0 is 1. So this must be 6.04. So for now I have that a of t equals 6.04 times e to kt. I do not have k yet. I used this piece of information, but I did not use this piece of information yet. How do I use this? Right, so A of t is 10 million, 10, 6.04 times E when t is 50. So 50k. Is this clear? Okay, what do you do next to solve for k? Right, so I have to write 10 divided by 6.04 equals e to 50k. What do I do next? Yes, I have to apply natural log to both sides. The left-hand side is natural log 10 over 6.04, and the right-hand side is 50k, because natural log e is 1. 1. When I bring this in front, natural log e is 1. This should have been 50k multiplied by natural log e, but this is 1. That's why I only write 50k. So then k equals natural log 10 over 6.04 over 50. So k is, if you want to give me the number, I'll put it in. 0.010 and another one. Okay, perfect. So now I have the model. A of t equals 6.04 times e to 0.0101 t. Now there is a part B, I think. Part B.
Yes, there was.
Find the year in which Israel's population will reach 8 million. Right, 8 equals 6.04 e to 0.0101 t. How do I solve this? How do I solve now? Natural log to both sides. Natural log 8 over 6.04 equals 0.0101 t. So t equals natural log 8 over 6.04, 0.0101. And t is definitely before 2050. How much? 28. So in the year 2028. Any questions on this? Any questions? Okay, good. Anything else from here? Or we go to test 3? Oh, that was test 3. Oh, test 4. First one. Yes? We want to look at it? Very good. I'm asked to find trig functions of this angle. First, I have to picture the angle. Can anyone tell us, why do I have to picture the angle? Why do I need to know in which quadrant its terminal side is? Exactly. Because each quadrant, trig functions have different signs, right? So I know that this is 30 degrees. So this is definitely 210 degrees. Well, this is 180, 30 more. So this is the angle of 7 pi over 6. So I know that since it's in the third quadrant, sine and cosine will be negative, Tangent will be positive, cotangent will be positive, secant and cosecant will be negative, correct? Okay, so now I have to identify the reference angle. Right. So then I write sine 7 pi over 6 is nothing else but the opposite. It has to be negative. Sine pi over 6. But I know sine pi over 6 because it's the first number in the upper corner, the upper left corner in the little chart. 1/2. Now cosine 7 pi over 6 is also negative. It would be negative cosine pi over 6. But I know cosine pi over 6 because it's in the first column, the square root of 3 over 2. Now the rest, forget about anything, right? All you have to remember is the tangent 7 pi over 4, oops, is this over this. Oh, I'm sorry. Of course I have to write it negative, I forgot. So this over this will be a positive number. So when I divide 1/2 divided by the square root of 3 over 2, I get 1/2 times 2 over the square root of 3. This go away, the 2 go away. And 1 over the square root of 3, I consider full credit, but remember we have to rationalize and not just multiply the top of the square root of 3, but both. So this should be the square root of 3 over 3. But even if you wrote 1 over the square root of 3, I consider it correct. It is correct. It should have been the square root of 3 over 3. Now, cotangent 7 pi over 6 is just the multiplicative inverse of this. I don't need to do anything. It's the square root of 3. When it comes to secant 7 pi over 6 is 1 over cosine. So this will be negative 2 over the square root of 3, and I would like to rationalize. Negative 2 the square root of 3 over 3. And the last one, cosecant 7 pi over 6 is 1 over sine, so it's negative 2. Without picturing the angle and finding where the terminal side is, I will not be able to find the correct signs. All these signs are connected to the third quadrant. These signs are not valid in any other quadrant. Any questions on this? Now, I don't remember if it was just one test or more than one. Someone wrote sine 7 pi over 6 equals 7/2. And I put a big question mark. Can I write something like this? What is the maximum possible value of any angle, the sine of any angle? 1. What is the minimum possible value of sine of any angle on the planet? -1. So this is 3.5, right? I cannot write something like this. Please pay attention to that. Can it be tangent? Yeah. Can it be cotangent? Yes, but not sine and cosine. Okay? Can be secant, it can be cosecant. Yes, it's possible, but not for sine and cosine. Okay. The amplitude, phase shift, and period? Yes, of course. Okay, so remember amplitude only for sine and cosine. So we have y equals -3 sine 3x plus pi over 2. Number 1, the amplitude has to be the absolute value of the number in front of sine. The absolute value of -3 is 3. Number 2, the period must be for sine 2 pi divided by the number in front of x. Number in front of x is 3. Now, in order to determine the phase shift, I have to perform one step. So I have to pull out that number 3. But whatever I write here, it has to match the original function. I cannot write 5x minus 3/2, because that's not going to be the original function, right? You cannot just put something in there, right? So because of that, when I pull out a 3 from 3x, in parentheses I have an x, but I have to put something here such that when I multiply it by 3, I get pi over 2. So it must be pi over 6. So 3 times x is 3x. 3 over 1 times pi over 6 is pi over 2. So the phase shift is negative pi over 6. I consider it correctly if you said pi over 6, but to the left. That's fine too. I think on the solutions I put both. I put negative pi over 6 and also in parentheses to the left. We did this problem in class. Actually, all problems are a copy with minor changes from each and every problem we did in class on Monday.
Can we do that one?
Yes. I looked at what I did on Monday and I just copied and I changed. If you look at the problems that we did on Monday, B is 6 and I put 5, and C is 1 and I put 2. And the angle was 141 and I put 139. So we have A and B and C and A and B and C. A, 139 degrees. B is 5. C is 2. And we want to find all sides and all angles. So in order to find A, I will have to use a law of cosines. But you cannot write a squared equals b squared plus c squared as I saw it in some of your tests, because this is not a right triangle. So you have to continue and write negative 2bc cosine A. And now I can plug everything in. I take the square root from both sides. And I have b squared, which is 25, c squared, which is 4, minus 2 times 5 is 10, times 2 is 20, and cosine 139 degrees. And I have my solutions right here. I got 6.64. And then let's use the law of sines and find one angle, and then we can find the other, subtracting their sum from 180. Is this okay? Should I continue and find one angle?
No, it's fine.
Okay. No one had difficulties with the positive and negative coterminal angle, but many of you had difficulties with tangent 30. Using a co-function is tangent 30 equals cotangent of 60, right? 90 minus 30. That's all I needed. So tangent 30 equals cotangent 90 minus 30, which is 60. So cotangent 60. On this one, I made the correction. I had an error. It's my mistake. I meant 23 degrees, not 32 degrees. So I gave full credit to everyone who at least started it correctly, because it's my error. And I have to pay for that. Sorry about that. I meant 23 degrees, and when you pointed that out to me, I should have checked right away. And I didn't. So it's my mistake. I'm sorry about that. Find tangent 210. I don't have to. I can only go back to problem 1. This is 210. So it's the square root of 3 over 3. I gave full credit even if you punch in the calculator, because it's my mistake again. I should have said find tangent 210 exactly, but I didn't. So I had to accept any number you put in that was good. Okay, I'm not sure about the difficulties on this one.
Yeah.
I just changed the number. I think I put, in class we did the cosine equals 4/5, and now I put it sine equals negative 4/5. Okay, so I'm given sine, which is negative 4/5. No. I'm sorry. and it says in the third quadrant, which means if we're talking about the third quadrant, all I need to do is remember that cosine has what sign in the third quadrant? Negative. That's all I need. So then when I find cosine x, I say negative the square root of 1 minus sine squared. That's all I need, and I'm done. So this is minus the square root of 1 minus, when I square this, I get 16 over 25. 25 minus 16 is 9, so negative 9 over 25 with the square root and negative 3/5. Now I don't care about anything else. Because I know sine and cosine, I'm done. I can find the other 4 in a blink. Tangent x, negative 4/5 over negative 3/5, so it's positive 4/3. Cotangent x is 3/4. Secant x is 1 over cosine, negative 5/3, and cosecant x is 1 over sine, negative 5/4. Okay, the next was, yes, I was surprised on this because we talked about the angle of elevation. Horizontal, angle of elevation. Angle of depression from the horizontal down. So we know that this is 1 kilometer, and this here is 28.81, and we're asked to find x. Which function will I use? Tangent, right? So tangent 28.81 degrees equals x over 1, or x equals tangent 28.81, and we got, I remember, 0.55, I think, kilometers. I mean, for 10 points, this was very doable, right? Okay. Then you didn't have difficulties with this one. I was just asking for the chart and the sine and cosine for these. I think Michelle did the nicest chart. She just put it in and she just put the ordered pairs, and I love that. She put the ordered pairs and she said, hey, this is cosine, this is sine. So I had to figure it out myself. So that was good. Now, I'm not really sure. Many of you did this correctly. If you want, we can do it again. Yes? Okay. So we have a triangle, ABC. So A, B, and C. And A is 9, B is 13, and C is 20. Of course, my only chance to find angle A is law of cosines. So I have A squared equals B squared plus C squared. Remember, you cannot stop here. This is not a right triangle. Minus 2BC cosine A. And we did this last Monday. We reviewed it. So I will move this term here, and I will move this term here. Because of the negatives, there will be more negative terms if I don't do that. So 2BC cosine A equals B squared plus C squared minus A squared. So then I have to find cosine A, which is B squared plus C squared minus A squared over 2BC. I just plug it in. And I'll tell you what I got after I plugged it in. I got 0.93846. But in order to find A, I have to apply a function to both sides. Exactly. And this is exactly what we did several times here. We apply the inverse function. The inverse function that allows me to bring down the power. And we apply the inverse function where else? Here as well, I apply the inverse function to e to the x to solve the equation. And when I applied cosine inverse to both sides, I got approximately 20 degrees. Is there anything that you can think of and say, well, I still want to see something like that? Any topic? Any topic? Any type of problem? Anything from test 3 then? As I mentioned, I will replace the lowest test grade with the final exam grade. You can start your test at 3, you can stay till 7 if that's what you want to do. I don't have a problem with that. Then please don't come at 6 p.m. and expect to finish everything in an hour. I don't want you to do that, please.
Can you do number 9 on
Yes.
test 3?
Yes.
Please?
What does it say?
It's the graph of function using transformations. Present the transformations in order of operations to find x and y intercepts algebraically. Graph the asymptotes, find the domain and range. So it's f of x equals -2 to the power of x minus 3 plus 4.
Very good. So first of all, what is the base function? Which function was u to the x indeed? First transformation on 2 to the x in order of operations will be 2 to x minus 3, right 3. Is that okay? Then I'm still here. I'm done with this, so the next step is this. So number 2 is a transformation on number 1, -2 raised to x minus 3. So x did not change, so this is y and this is y. But now it's -y. So this is a reflection with respect to the x-axis, or around the x-axis, or about 3. Now I'm done with this, because this is the function from 2, but I have to add 4. So -2 to x minus 3 plus 4 will be up 4. Now let's find the x and y intercepts, and then we'll present all transformations and the base function. How do I find the x-intercept of such a function? Yes. So then I have -2 x minus 3 plus 4 equals 0. How do I solve this equation? What type of equation is it? So -2 to x minus 3 equals -4. What will I do next? Divide both sides by -1, or multiply. So it's 2 to x minus 3, and the right hand side will be 2 squared. Two numbers are equal and they have the same base. What has to happen?
X minus 3 equals 2.
Which means x equals 5. So the x-intercept must be 5, 0. How do I find the y-intercept, if there is one? Good. So when x equals, so the y-intercept, when x equals 0, which means f of 0. Okay. How much is 0 minus 3? -3, right? How much is 2 to -3? 1 over 8. 1 over 8 with minus in front. So 1 over 8 with minus in front plus 4. So the least common denominator is 8. This needs an 8. 32 minus 1 is 31. So 0, 31 over 8, which is roughly, thank you. So that's not roughly, 3.75. Okay, good. So I'm ready now. First, I graph 2 to the x. I know it's an exponential function with a base greater than 1, so it has to do this. And it has to cross at 1, so this is 2 to the x. Now I have to graph 2 to the x minus 3, which means this point moves 3 units to the right. So it will be at 1, 2, 3. 3, 1. So this is 2 raised to x minus 3. Then I'm told to reflect this. I'm going to reflect it on this graph. So it's this. negative 2 to x minus 3. I know that this function has a horizontal asymptote, y equals 0 at negative infinity. But now the next transformation is up 4. I have to shift the horizontal asymptote first before I shift the graph. 4 up. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now this point, which is at 4, 1, moves up 4. It's not at 4, 1, it's at 3, negative 1, forgive me. So 3, negative 1 from here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I know that it crosses at 5, 0, so 3, 4, 5. And I cannot graph that 3.75 other than the fact that it's somewhere here. So this is my graph. So it could be possibly a little bit steeper. So the graph is negative 2, x raised to x minus 3, and plus 4.
So the plus 4 states the asymptote.
It gives the asymptote for this function.
Right.
Yes, the horizontal asymptote. So y equals 4, horizontal asymptote. Here, y equals 0, horizontal asymptote. Y equals 0, horizontal asymptote. Anything else? If you when you redo the test and you find that you have some difficulties with a particular problem, I will go back to that section and say, let me choose 4 more problems and check the answer in the back on that particular topic. If you work on something over the weekend and you come across something that you want to ask, text me or call me.
In case we come across something, can we come and show it to you, maybe, let's say, either Monday or Tuesday before we come?
Yeah, you could. I will be here from 5 to 7 on Monday and from 3 to 7 on Tuesday. Now, I did request another room just in case I have full class on Wednesday. I hope not. I hope that not everyone will show up at 3 and there will be enough room. But I don't want anybody to, I don't want to send anybody to another room.
So if we come on Wednesday, so 3 is when it starts, but if we don't get here exactly,
That's fine.
Kind of like 3:30, that's still okay.
You can come at 5.
Just wanna make sure.
Sure. No problem. Anything else that you would like to go back to?
Number 10 on test 3.
Yes. What is it?
It's like a word problem. It has 3 parts to it.
Okay.
All right, so the function f of t equals 500,000.
Oh, okay. It's that logistic growth.
Yes.
So it's 1 plus
2499 e, and it's to negative 0.982t.
0.92t.
92t.
Oh, okay. Very good. So that's the percentage or
That
something.
models the number of people.
Number of people. With
F of t
influenza.
yes.
Okay. Good. So then when t is
0.
okay, when t is 0, this is 0, and all this is 1. 2499 plus 1 is 2500. So you will divide 500,000 by 2500. So when I simplify, this will be 2. So 200. 200 people were sick or got sick initially. Question number 2.
How many people were ill by the end of the 6th week?
Right, that I have to plug in the calculator. I cannot do that by hand. So 500,000, 1 plus 2499 e to negative 0.92 multiplied by 6.
Okay.
And then the limiting size of the population.
My column came with ill use of the calculator, because I have the right.
Yes, yes, let's do that with a calculator. Absolutely. So, you have to put this function in, but you have to be very careful how you put it in. So go to y equals and clear everything. And then parentheses around the numerator. Since it's just one number, this time I'll skip the parentheses. But be very careful. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Divided by left parenthesis 1 plus 2499 and I put parentheses around the power negative 0.92 t for x, close the parenthesis, go outside and close the parenthesis again. So now I want to know what happens when t increases without bound, right? So I put the function in, correct?
Yes.
So now I go to second in table, and I want to make t as large as possible and see what happens. So let's say when t is 7 weeks, when t is 70 weeks, when t is 700 weeks, when t is 7,000 weeks. So what is the answer? 500,000. You can get more. That's the limiting size, and that's the horizontal asymptote. It will never cross it.
Okay.
But it's very important how you put in the calculator. So if you, especially now in this software, I think it's working differently, but if you don't put parentheses here, and if you don't have parentheses here in the graphing calculator, you will not get the correct answer. So you have to have parentheses around the power and parentheses around the denominator. And if you have just one term at the top, it's okay. But if you have more than one term, you have to have parentheses around the numerator as well. Remember, that is exactly what we did with rational functions when we put them in. Require the parentheses around numerator and parentheses around the denominator. Because otherwise the calculator graphs something totally different.